Eoin Ó Broin.
Very much, Las Cian Corla. I have to say, it's very telling that the Minister, in his 5-minute speech, spent only 2 minutes outlining his budget measures and 3 minutes attacking the opposition. That's 2 minutes of more empty promises that will be unfulfilled and 3 minutes of deliberate misrepresentations of Sinn Féin's position. And the reason why, of course, is because yesterday what we learnt is the Emperor has no clothes. Despite the fact that year on year the housing crisis gets ever worse, despite the fact that the government is claiming that housing and homelessness is their priority, Minister O'Brien secured nothing new of any substance to tackle the affordability crisis, the social housing crisis, or the homelessness crisis. So let's just look at the facts. First of all, no change and no increase to the social and affordable housing targets announced 2 years ago. Despite the fact that you've missed your targets year on year, despite the fact that levels of need are rising, you're still stuck with targets that are too low, and even if you deliver those, won't meet demand. No increase in actual capital funding for that social and affordable housing delivery programme. The budget book makes it very clear, 2.6 billion, same as was last year, because you haven't changed the target. And when you look, for example, at the very, very meagre increases within the overall envelope for the Social Housing Investment Programme, for the Affordable Housing Fund and the Cost Rental Equity Loan, it's clear you've kind of given up on the idea of councils and approved housing bodies delivering the volume of homes that are required. You talked about increasing the renters' tax credit. Only €250 extra. That will be swallowed up by rent pressure zone and outside rent pressure zone rent increases, and ultimately it will be paid onto the landlord. And the landlord's tax credit that you fought so hard for, that you put so much political capital in, listen to what the landlords are saying today. It won't make a whit of difference in keeping single property landlords in the market that your bad policies have been driving out over a number of years. And then look at house prices, because the only way we tackle the affordable housing crisis is if house prices come down. And not only are you continuing with the disastrous Help to Buy, but also with the shared equity loan, pushing up house prices, saddling working people with high-risk debt, and making it harder and harder for working people to afford a home. That's why every time your party is in government, home ownership as a percentage of the overall housing stock falls, as it is currently doing, so will it continue. And on homelessness, you have a commitment, which I support, to end long-term homelessness and the need to sleep rough by 2030, yet no plan to demonstrate how year on year we will see that decrease. In fact, I thought your answer at your press conference yesterday was very telling. You wish, you hope, you'd like, but you're not actually doing anything to achieve that objective. Under your watch, adult homelessness, child homelessness, pensioner homelessness, higher than ever in modern records. One of the odd things about the budget is, despite the very high-profile government announcement in the summer of this new STAR investment initiative, no capital allocated and voted expenditure. We're very interested to hear from the Minister at the earliest opportunity where that funding is coming from, because it's not in the budget book and it wasn't in your press conference yesterday. And then this interesting, ambiguous and as yet unagreed promise of LDA capitalisation. If the Minister had secured an extra €6 billion for housing through LDA capitalisation, it would have been in Minister McGrath's speech and Minister Donoghue's speech. In fact, it would have been the headline item in your opening remarks to your press conference, but it was buried away, and when you were asked reasonable questions by journalists, you couldn't answer because you don't actually know what you've got yet, because you haven't got it, and the sooner you can provide clarity on that, the better. What this is a status quo budget. And what that means is in housing, things will remain the same, and for very many people, Minister, things will get worse. Given the scale of the finances available yesterday, this could have been a game-changing budget. This could have been about undoing the damage that you and your colleagues have done in recent years and giving people desperate to own or rent an affordable home, to get a council home or get out of emergency accommodation, some hope. In fact, all of those homeowners with building defects were very surprised to see only an extra €5 million in the pot for building defects. Where is the money for the new scheme that you're promising to open next year going to be? Because it's not in the budget that was announced yesterday. I have to say my colleagues are right. You have squandered an enormous opportunity. I think it's clear that you've thrown in the towel. Otherwise, you'd have spent a full 5 minutes telling us why this budget was so good. And therefore, as I have said before, and I will continue to say until the next general election, you are making things worse. It's time for you to go, and then let the electorate decide who they want to lead the government, who they want to be in charge of housing, and who they think is actually best placed to undo the damage of decades of bad Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael housing policy.